nutritional coach here with us on the show that we're going to be bringing him in just a second. But I want to say real quick, thanks to our sponsors for today's episode. And our sponsor, Linksoul, has got some pretty cool stuff going on, and we're going to be doing here at 18 Strong. We're going to be doing a giveaway for an 18 Strong review on our iTunes page. So the podcast page over on iTunes, if you go there, leave a review for the 18 Strong podcast. This coming Monday, April 13th, we're going to do a giveaway of the slip-on shoes that you see here. It was a collaboration between Linksoul and True Linkswear, and you're going to have the opportunity to get your free pair of these by leaving a review on 18 Strong over on iTunes. So I want to thank Linksoul for always supporting us here at the 18 Strong podcast. I am now going to bring in our buddy Jason Phillips from the Nutritional Coaching Institute to enlighten us with some wisdom here on the podcast. Jason, welcome, man. Welcome back to the show.
Well, dude, I appreciate it, man. It's good to reconnect, and unfortunately under these times, but always good to be able to chat. So I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, you bet. We were just kind of catching up right before the recording went live, talking about, when are things going to get back to normal? Somebody was just asking you that the other day, and it's hard to respond to that.
It's really hard. I mean, my response is like, what is normal? Do we even know what normal is? And, I think I'm probably like most people, I'm watching the news more than I've ever watched the news. And, I think I heard this morning that they're saying like summer camps are in jeopardy, but kids might go back to school next year. And like the notion that like we're looking into next school year already is just a little bit disturbing in and of itself. But, I guess it's better safe than sorry. I think a lot of people underestimated this on the front end. And, if we underestimate its ability to come back on the back end, then we'd be right back in the same position. I don't think anybody wants that. So, better to be a little safe than sorry.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being in, position of authority in this situation where you're kind of determining when does the economy start coming back on? When do you start opening up businesses? And if you make the wrong decision like that, and then the whole thing starts over again, it's like, man, I do not envy being in anybody's shoes that are making decisions like that.
No, me either.
So with everything going on, obviously, a lot of people have more time on their hands, but I know a guy like you're just going to fill that with working hard or doing more. So what have you been up to these days? We've got some things that I know you have on the horizon here that we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Well, ironically, man, I'm very fortunate in the sense that I believe what we do is actually an ideal product or service for this time. There's all the memes, like if you don't come out of this with like a new skill or blah, 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 like you weren't, you didn't lack resources, you were just lazy or something like that. And like, I don't think I agree with that, but I definitely believe that right now there's a massive emphasis on health and fitness. And you're starting to see, I mean, just the numbers, they don't lie. Like, Louisiana, like the most number of overweight and the most obese people and the least healthy people. And that's where like the death count is shooting up. Right. And so underlying disease, before this, and just by disease, I mean like obesity, was like the number one predictor of mortality. And so, with Nutritional Coaching Institute, we're obviously helping people get on the front lines and start beating that. And that's always been our mission. From day one, when we opened up NCI just under 3 years ago, we said, we want to help 1 billion people and we want to certify 1 million coaches and help each coach touch 1,000 lives. That's been our MO from day one, billion person mission. And now I think we've just pushed even harder. I think that now there's a lot of opportunity. A lot of people are getting clarity and they're like, I kind of like this whole work from home thing. I kind of like this whole be around my family more thing. I kind of like this do things on my own and connect with people. And if that's you, it's like, cool. Well, why not do that and fight the biggest epidemic in the world, right? Because before the pandemic, we had the epidemic of obesity. And so, I think we've just been able to do that, when from a tactical standpoint, I mean, I've had a marketing funnel that was getting ready to launch right now. I had an audiobook that was literally getting ready to launch right now. And that wasn't planned. Like it just worked out. And so that just released, and obviously people have plenty of time to consume media. And so really it hasn't changed a lot of our day-to-day life, very fortunately. But That being said, as the coach of coaches, because I do coach a lot of other coaches in the space, I was telling my assistant yesterday, I think I've worked more in the last month than I've ever worked in my life. Like, I have not stopped, and it's just being there for them and giving them solutions for their clients and for their business and pivoting. And so that part's definitely been different. But it's also kind of been fun too. I mean, I always love a good challenge, so why not?
What does your day-to-day look like as far as, are you on calls a lot with either coaches or your team? And then even just kind of like fitness-wise, routine-wise, what have you kind of fallen into here? Or does it look pretty much the same?
So I'm in South Carolina, and our gym didn't get shut down until last Tuesday. So like, we were one of the last states where like the public gyms got shut down. So I was good for a while. I won't lie. It got shut down Tuesday. I was actually sick like the early part of that week. Like, I wasn't feeling good. And of course, like in the state we live in, I was like, oh, I got to have Corona. So, I didn't do anything for a few days, quickly moved through it, totally fine. And so it was just this past Sunday, I finally broke down. I did like a bodyweight workout. I took one of the old CrossFit workouts, went outside and edited it, and made it work. And so I finally gave in to, social pressure, I guess. My buddy here does have a garage gym, so I've been able to pop over there and get some actually like lifting done, and so I've been fortunate there. That being said, I've really taken the time to recover, man. And I don't know how much in the weeds we'll talk about nutrition, but I have a belief that all nutrition should be periodized, and I think we touched on it on the last podcast that like every active pursuit of a goal is what we would define by season inside of a periodization with nutrition. And every active pursuit of a goal should require active recovery as well. And so, I've been looking at this time where it's like, man, I've probably, even having the knowledge I have, fallen into the trap of under recovery for quite some time. And so I've really just tried to take care of my body and tried to, sleep a little more or, go get more steps and not put the kind of impact on my body and really understand that, I've been using the analogy of like a coil, right? Like you retract a little bit in the effort to ultimately expand, right? Like, or a slingshot, like you pull back to ultimately move forward. And it's been very intentional what I've done. It hasn't been as action packed, but that is by intention. That's by design. And I will not be one of the people coming out of the pandemic that is actually burned out from the excessive amount of workouts that people are doing. I think that's the most overlooked piece. Everybody, dude, I mean, just open up your social media, right? And scroll it. And if you at all follow fitness people, you're bombarded with home workouts. And that's awesome. Like, I love the coaches that are doing that. I think it's a great resource, but you got to remember, everyone's putting like they're dropping their bomb publicly. Right. And so they're like, this is the hardest workout I've got. Like, this one will kill you. And so what does the average person do? Well, they grab this hard workout, this hard workout, and this hard, and they pair those up for a week. And it's like, before you know it, like, you've run yourself in the ground for a whole week, and you do that for months on end. It's not a good recipe, man.
No. In fact, I caught a little bit of your live on Instagram the other day when you were talking about how that body weight workout actually kind of destroyed you because you're
man.
It's just not used to it. So what did it look like? Like what'd you do? And I think it's interesting because people think of a bodyweight workout and they kind of think like, oh, no big deal. But like, you take a guy like you, obviously, you know your way around the gym, CrossFit,
Sure.
everything, and a bodyweight workout crushed you.
Yeah. So openly admitting I have not done a lot of conditioning, and so that part definitely hurt. But I ran half a mile. I did 50 burpees, 100 push-ups, 150 air squats, and run half a mile. And, to put it in context, it's not that bad. Like, it's basically half Murph subbing burpees for the pull-ups, right? That's effectively what I did. And it's not that bad, like, all things considered, but I haven't done much conditioning. So I've been battling a bit of a knee injury, so I haven't done a lot of squatting. And so it's like 150 air squats in a row, like that volume definitely ate up my legs. 100 push-ups in a row. Haven't done that kind of volume in my chest. And so just different stimulus, man. Like, I was sore. Today's probably, what is today? Wednesday. Today is probably the first day that I'm not really that sore. So it's a good 3-day soreness. I was pretty beat up. And then the next day we decided in my buddy's garage to get a little crazy and do just a ridiculous 40-minute EMOM that we should have never done. But that's kind of like where I'm at, like in my own fitness journey. I was telling a buddy that will probably listen to this, and I was like, I either like it. It's got to either be like really ridiculous, or I'm not interested. Like
Right.
I've trained 18 years of my life at this point, and it's like, unless it's something like, hey, put 400 pounds on your back and back squat it 20 times, like it's not that interesting to me. Like just doing 4 sets of 8 bench press is not that fun anymore. But if you're like, hey, let's go literally like murder ourselves for 30 minutes, like, okay, I'm in.
Right.
Like, hey, like bench press this 100 times. Okay, cool, let's try it. So I don't know, man. Like I'm probably the worst person to listen to on like workout advice right now. Like I could give you all the science, but then I could tell you what's really fun too.
Right.
I guess that's the nature of being a human.
Well, and I think that's kind of the cool part of seeing a lot of this stuff on social media. Obviously, like you said, there's pros and cons to it of everybody's dropping all these different things, but it's also a great way to get some creativity depending on who you're listening to, because some, you have to really pick and choose who you're listening to as well. But, understanding some different techniques or different ways of, just doing different rep schemes or throwing in isometrics or some different eccentric stuff, or just like phasing in different things is really, because people do get caught in the, 4 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 10, and they just do that same thing over and over. Something that I've loved doing just recently around here is just like having a heavy kettlebell around, and we hung up a pull-up bar and back, and it's like, whenever I walk outside, do a couple pull-ups, like don't kill myself, but over the course of the day, do 20, 30, 40, 50 pull-ups. It's like, wow, that was pretty good over the course of 8 hours. So
that adds up.
Just comes out to a lot of different creativity kind of stuff.
I think I heard those referenced recently as micro sessions. I mean, I'm sure somebody just threw a name on it, but yeah, definitely like what you're saying is like get some shorter workouts several times over the course of the day. I'll openly admit, like I've been so busy that would never work for my schedule right now. Like blocking out 90 minutes is hard enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I'm in complete agreement. The one thing I have done and I've really tripled down on is getting my steps up, right? Making sure that I'm getting higher levels of meat. And like I was just like looking at my app before we came on, and like prior to this, I was averaging like maybe 9,000 steps a day. Right now I'm averaging close to like 16 to 17,000.
Whoa.
And so like anytime I take a call, anytime I can, like after every meal, I'm outside walking. And like where I'm at is like on a cul-de-sac. It's about a half-mile loop, and so I take that just multiple times. And man, it's been great. Like it's helped me recover. I love to walk and talk anyway. Like I mean, there's some research that suggests bilateral brain stimulation when you're moving, and it's very powerful in terms of clarity and the power of the subconscious. And so I'm always a fan of that. But even more so now, that's really been my focus. And then I have adjusted my nutrition, and that's something that we can absolutely talk about. I have done that, and that's really paid off as well. And so yeah, I mean, all in all, it's like Groundhog's Day. I'm bored out of my mind at times. Like like when I have little pockets of free time, I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna climb a wall. But I'm sure everybody's experiencing that. So it's nothing new. And at the end of the day, it's our attitude that's going to control the whole frame. So why not just deal with it and move on?
What are some of the changes you've made nutrition wise?
Yeah. So I've really adopted more of like a carb backloading type strategy. So because I'm working like a lot more, and like clarity has to be exponentially higher, and my days are a lot more volatile. I don't know when I'm going to be training. I don't know if I'm going to train. Like I told you, I have intentionally pulled back on volume and intensity. So I don't need as much carbohydrate to fuel glycolytic type training. Like I'm just not doing it. So I've basically gone to, and I've also kept it very intuitive. Like it's not much macro tracking, but basically I just proteins, fats throughout the day relative to hunger. So like a standard day would be, eggs and bacon for breakfast. I use Organifi greens products. So like Organifi greens and reds, at some point in the morning. I do like usually some meats, nuts, and veggies, for lunch. I'll do a shake and like some nut butter in the afternoon. And then dinner for me is like whatever I want. And that's like my sanity right now. So, it's Chipotle, it's Moe's, it's burger and fries. It's been pizza. Sometimes it's something super high quality, right? Sometimes it's just chicken and rice, but it's literally like whatever I feel. And if I feel like, man, I'm super tired, I eat up. Like yesterday, it felt very depleted. It was pizza night.
Nice.
Today I don't feel near as depleted. It'll be probably a high quality home cooked meal, but it's taken all the stress, all the guesswork out. It's a strategy I have deployed in my life before. I've always seen success with it. And my mental focus is through the roof when I keep carbs low throughout the day. So as we know, there's a, inverse relationship with insulin and cortisol. And so I think we talked about like the last podcast, like I've battled HPA axis issues in the past. And so I know that like if I can keep insulin levels very low throughout the day, my focus and my mental clarity are super high. And that's really been my focus, man. And it's been great. Like I've been operating on fire. Our businesses are moving forward. Our clients are moving forward. Physique wise, I'm pretty happy. And overall, like I feel pretty good. The only thing I'm not doing is sleeping a lot. And that's because like my mind just like races. Like I woke up at 3 a.m. this last night, and I actually texted my team and I was like, do this and do this and do this. And they like woke up, like, what the fuck are you doing? So, yeah, that's about it.
What effects have you seen, just like body composition wise, switching to something like that?
I'm pretty much staying the same. To be totally honest, it's more of like a maintenance protocol. I'm not looking to get leaner. I'm not looking to add any lean mass. I mean, if we're looking from like a aesthetics perspective, like maybe like less muscle fullness, because obviously less carbohydrate, less glycogen. So like maybe like less fullness, but that could also be from the training. But honestly, man, like pretty lean, feel pretty good. I think a lot of people should consider something like that, because it takes all the stress out. And like, right now, like one of the benefits of quarantine is socially being around your family. And I think that like one of the biggest struggles that most dieters come to me with is they feel this social isolation inside of dieting. And so now while there's forced lack of isolation with your family, right? So like, the connection piece that you've been looking for inside of food, why not figure out how to leverage that and bring that together and really come out of this time with a positive? So I would encourage a lot of people to try it. You don't have to count, you don't have to track, right? There's nothing crazy. And yeah, I think a lot of people would really see success with it.
Yeah. I would say that looks a lot like how I've been eating recently. And
Yeah.
I tend to really resonate with that as far as like mental clarity and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I went for a while, did like a really, really low carb thing. And just after a while, I was just kind of feeling run down and everything. I felt kind of mentally sharp at times, but then I just kind of like felt tired. I didn't feel strong. And then so bringing some carbs back in. But this way, I've been pretty stringent on, throughout the day, staying pretty much, like you said, proteins, fats. But then it gives me the freedom to, at night with the kids and with my wife, whatever she's cooking, to just enjoy it and like let loose and just kind of like, all right, just chill out. It's not that, it's not like we're trying to
dude, we had fresh baked cookies in the house. And so for 3 straight nights, it was like a couple of cookies after dinner each night. And,
right.
And I didn't stress it. And again, body comp didn't get any worse. I didn't feel any worse. I think it is a great foundation for a lot of people that can ultimately become very successful afterwards, because really it gives you like, this is like your bare bones, right? So if you don't train and you're like, hey, body comp's not necessarily where I want it, cool. Remove the carbs from dinner on the days you don't train, right? And now all of a sudden, super low carb on the days that you train like a little bit harder, or if you're getting that like lack of recovery feeling like you had, consider like some high molecular weight carbs like intra or post workout, right? So you're in St. Louis, First Form, right? Mm-hmm. I love Ignition from First Form, right? It's a blend of like maltodextrin, waxy maize. I believe there's some highly branched cyclic dextrin in there. And so like you're using that intra workout, post workout. So now you've got intra workout carbs that are digesting very quickly, and you've got carbs at dinner to facilitate recovery. And if you feel like that's not sufficient, now we would move to like pre-workout carbs. Right. And so you're always timing your carbohydrate relative to insulin sensitivity. You're controlling quantity of carbs based on timing instead of measuring stress. Overall dietary foundation is very, very simple. Right. And I think that's what most people are looking for, is simplicity in all of this. It's undeniable that the pinnacle of nutrition is a quantity-based application. Like, if I'm working with like, I think we touched last time on like UFC fighters. I think I talked about, I work with those guys, right?
Yep.
If I'm working with them, everything's weighed and measured, hands down, right? Because they got to make a number on a scale. If I'm working with a pro golfer, there's zero chance that I'm asking for them to weigh and measure anything, right? We're controlling quantity a completely different way. And so I think you have to understand, like, who am I? How do I resonate with this whole thing? And also understand, if you don't want to weigh and measure, like, you're not going to be bodybuilder shredded either.
Right.
But who's trying to come out of this like that? Like, I don't think that should be the goal right now.
No.
So I think that, again, the principles are always principles, right? It's understanding what a goal are you trying to achieve right now.
I'm curious, so you started out working with a lot of athletes. Obviously, you were in the health and fitness space. What led from you going to coaching just clients and individuals to finally deciding to go into being a coach of coaches and starting NCI and kind of, again, this whole mission of reaching 1 billion people? How did that come about? I don't think we really touched on that as much on the last show.
Yeah. So it was really crazy. I was one of the I think I was like one of the first. I don't want to say it was the first because I can't guarantee it, but I was one of the first to take a one-on-one online consulting, nutrition consulting business and scale it over 7 figures. And I looked around and I was like, why are people struggling so hard? Like, it was kind of innate to me. Like, I didn't have like coaching or anything like that. Like, I just kind of figured it out. And I was like, why is everybody struggling? And I realized, like, at our peak, we were maybe seeing 10,000 clients in a year, maybe, like, and that would be very highballed, like probably less than that. And I'm like, so if I do this for another 10 years, like, that's 100,000 people, like, it's not really the impact that I want. Right.
Right.
And so I kept like asking my friends, like, well, when are you going to grow? How are you going to scale? And they're like, what do you mean? Like, I can't even get enough clients to put food on the table. And so I just started like sharing some things with some people, and they started creating the same level of success. And I realized, wait a minute, like, above everything, I've always said impact, and it's not like the vehicle of impact is open to what the world tells me it needs to be, right? Impact, like end consumer impact, is all I care about. And so like the world continues to reveal different vehicles to me. And so initially that was nutrition coaching, right? That was where I was put out to be. And then as that kind of hit scale and I realized I could have impact at a larger scale, because if I can grow 10 businesses and I can help each of them get to 10,000 people, now we're hitting 100,000 people in a year instead of 10 years, right? Now we're hitting 1 million people in those 10 years. And we literally just went 10x. Wow. And that was like my aha moment, is I'm like, oh my gosh. And so like when I launched my certification, it was like, I had 40 people sign up instantly, like first day. And like, I don't know. I've only told the story like one other place. But I'll tell it here because everybody needs a good story right now. I had dropped hints that I was considering a certification for quite some time. And every time I would say it, like on a podcast, I would immediately get hit, like flooded with like questions like, dude, when is this coming out? I want to buy. And I'm like, like people say that until you like reveal the price, and then they crickets, right? They don't really come out. And so I was in Pennsylvania at, like I was like my ex-wife's like house, and I was sick. I was laying on the couch, and I was like, well, I got to post to Facebook today because you got to have your daily post. And so I made my daily post, and I was like, it was something about like, man, like the whole world of nutrition is awful right now. Like I finally put the certification, and I had written the outline, like knowing like what it was. Like I finally put it together. Like if you're interested, like let me know, and I'll have my assistant reach out to you. And I thought like maybe 4 or 5 people, but like here's the real driver. And like it took me a long time to say this. Like that's when I was about to get engaged, and I needed to be able to afford the ring, and it was not cheap. And I was like, so if I could sell like 15 of these, I could definitely afford it. And I was like, so I just need 15 people. So I was like hopeful I would get like 6 or 7, and I would do like the manual outreach to get that to 15, and I'm like, it'll work. Dude, 120 plus people that day. Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? And I was like, and so like here I am, I'm like laying on the couch, sick, not feeling well. And I like grabbed my phone, I just like replied to all of them. I'm like, check your DM, check your DM, check your DM. And so I texted my assistant, and I'm like, go to PayPal, make a one-time only payment link, $1,000, like, because I had already secured a date, like I knew it was happening, right? Yeah. And I was like, see how many people actually pay. And she's like, the first 40 people paid. And like, I knew that
Awesome.
was it. Like that was like my cap. And so I was sold out. I was sold out day one. And so then like emergency team call that night. Can we secure locations like later in the year? Can we sell out to more of these? And so like made a couple calls. I had a gym in DC secured. I had a gym in Vegas secured. And so we ended up selling DC and Vegas for that year. So we ended up selling out our first three. And that was like how it all like came to be. And I remember I had the outline written, but I didn't have the whole thing written. So I was like, well, so I booked the trip to California. And there's something about the Montage in Laguna Beach, if you've ever been there. There's something magical about the balconies of the Montage in Laguna Beach, because I sat on the balcony for a week and I wrote the whole course. And every morning, 5 a.m., like about 5 to 11, so 6 hours. I mean, pretty solid time to like just write and gather my thoughts and compiled everything. I'd obviously done all the research, so I don't want to make it seem like it was a 30-hour process.
Yeah, right.
It was probably a 300-hour process. But yeah, man, I mean, that's ultimately how it came to be. And we started seeing coaches have success using the methods, and that's when the wheels started turning. I was like, man, we can really scale impact. And that was when I knew that the billion-person mission could happen. It's like, it's not a pipe dream. Like it's going to happen. And it was, we've never looked back. In fact, I don't know if I told you, I sold my coaching business.
No.
So I actually no longer have a coaching business. I only work on coaches. So I do not work directly with so like me personally, I work with like 10 to 15 a year. But like, I don't have coaches underneath me. I literally just have, we either build your business, we get you certified, or like if you're one of the 10 to 15 people that want to work with me that year, like cool, that's it. Like right. we tripled down.
Sweet, man.
Yeah.
So those original those 40 people, that was for a live event. You booked a live event from a couch with a Facebook post.
That's it, dude. That was it. And fundamentally the same. As I look back now, I'll be super honest. I had no idea what I was doing from a marketing perspective, which is kind of the blessing. I think a lot of people that start businesses actually end up being by accident, not on purpose, because it's very passion driven. Looking back now, I can identify why that worked. The same things work today, right? Like there's the same exact principles that led me to doing that. They would work today for anybody in any industry. And I think that's kind of the beauty of it is now I get to look back on it and be like, wow, that was actually pretty powerful. Like what we did. And yeah, that's how it came to be, man. I had some great people around me. I don't want to get it twisted. There was a gym in Chicago that was very gracious to let me go there completely for free. And really the same thing, like in DC and in Vegas that year, like I never had to pay gym rental fees, which was great. And it was, I'd added enough value to the world over like the previous like 4 years that it was time to make that ask. But like, mind you, that's 4 years, right? I don't think a lot of people, it's not like I didn't add value for 4 weeks and then make 40 grand in one post, right? Like I added value for 4 years and then I had the ability to make 40 grand in one post. And I think that a lot of people are like, oh, well, I could add value for a few weeks and then maybe I can make 100 grand. It's like, it's not long enough time. Like you really got to put in the work. So it had been a long time coming, but it was a pretty crazy moment. I'll never forget that day.
What does the structure look like now? I assume, obviously, there's still some live events. There's a lot of the online certifications now.
Yeah.
How has the business grown and kind of changed over those years?
So we're almost completely digital, and not by choice, but by consumer demand. And I was actually talking to a buddy of mine before this, and we were talking about Dana White and how, I don't know if you just heard, like he just bought an island for the UFC.
That's what I heard. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Dude, he definitely gets Entrepreneur of the Year.
Yes.
Like saving the world because there will be sports on TV next Saturday, which is amazing. So I was like, yeah, I need to buy like Nutrition Island and like host all my private certs from an island to, and I was like, actually nobody would still come. So like actually we've seen attendance just drop and everybody wants to go digital. And I get it, right? From a cost standpoint, it's you're spending $1,000, $1,500 to get into the certification class. Then you got to factor in hotel and flight and food and time away from your family. And like, I get it. It's hard. And so we've tried to make the options remote as like the best as possible. And I think we've done a very good job of that. In fact, our user experience is better than any platform ever in the space. Like I'll take it against anybody. Just for like our level one alone, you're getting like 20 hours of content, and then you're getting direct access to my team for like, a long period of time to help you get started, actually help your clients. And so, we had, like, you're familiar with like the Mind Pump podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
Like they're one of the biggest in the health and fitness space. And so we had actually like 4 days after all of this craziness hit, we were supposed to be doing a cert there, and we preemptively had to cancel it because we kind of saw the writing on the wall.
Right.
But like openly and honestly, we didn't even sell that one out. Like we sold out the online spots, but we didn't sell out the in-person. And I'm like, here's everybody's chance to meet like Adam Style, Justin, Doug, like, dudes that I love, like guys I'm really good friends with. And we had 40% of like what we expected. And I was like, that to me, that was like the writing on the wall. It's like people just don't want to travel. They want the comfort from home, and cool. Like if the market speaks, I'm always going to listen. It's a bummer because I love being in front of people. I love speaking from stage. It is hands down like one of my gifts. And like anybody that hasn't gotten to see me speak, like I promise you, like give me an hour and I'll blow your mind. But like so that was kind of a bummer. But we have everything recorded. It's all in like we have a great like password protected gateway, and we have a dashboard that is full of like resources. We've gone so far as to create like all the ebooks that we've written in the past. We stopped selling, and we actually allow coaches to private label them now and push out as like opt-in material for people. Yeah. And so, we really like, we understand what it takes to build a successful business. And I don't just want to give you the knowledge you need to help somebody lose weight. I want to give you the knowledge you need to help them lose weight and give you the business knowledge you need to monetize that. Because at the end of the day, you don't become a successful nutrition coach by having no clients. So that's something we're pretty big on.
Man, that's huge. I can't believe that, Mind Pump is actually where I first heard you and got to see you on their YouTube channel and listen to you speak. And I love that show. So anybody that hasn't listened to the Mind Pump podcast,
great guys,
definitely go check them out. But the fact that they couldn't sell out, or you guys couldn't sell out there, where you kind of get to meet the guys from the show. They've got a cool studio. That definitely says that things are changing in this space for sure.
The landscape is definitely changing. And ironically, like, if I was correlating it with like lower overall sales, I'd be like, oh, like it's us as a company, like we need to be better. But like our sales had doubled, right? Like we literally were going through a phase of like 100% growth. And I was like, well, if we're going through 100% growth and people still aren't coming, then that like, that tells you something. And so people like to take a certification from the comfort of their own home, like in their PJs. Now, we did do one via Zoom, and that went off like fabulously. So we may try experimenting more with that soon. We had like 40 people on a Zoom line, and like actually it was a pretty cool experience. I was skeptical of it before, and my team's like, just give it a go. And it was maybe like it might have been like one of my favorite weekends we've ever done. So we're getting ready to do a level 2 for that in like a month. So we'll see how that goes.
That's awesome. How many coaches do you guys have right now, roughly?
We've certified over 3,000 at this point. So we're slowly inching towards 1 million. But realistically, we haven't had the infrastructure to serve until like the last 6 months. We really have an infrastructure where tomorrow if 100,000 people came, we'd be ready. And as a small business, we didn't take on any VC, we didn't take on any investment. Like this is out of my pocket. This is me sitting on the balcony of a hotel, writing a curriculum. This is me going to the national certifications, getting it approved, showing the quality of it, and then proving to the world that it is the best certification in the world. And I've had RDs come through it. I've had doctors come through it. I've had weekend warriors come through it. I've had nutrition coaches with other nutrition certs come through it. And I haven't had one person come through and tell me like I didn't get everything that I needed out of this. And that's, to me, like we're battle tested. We're ready to now go change the world.
So I know we have a lot of coaches listening, fitness professionals listening. We've got a lot of golfers listening as well, and then just general population people too. Excuse me. So give us a little idea of what's different about NCI and the way that your coaches end up coaching, because I think it's going to be beneficial for the golfers, the end consumer, to hear the difference or hear kind of the process, but also for the coaches to understand like what this certification, what kind of value it brings to them and to their business as well.
Yeah. So everything I've ever done, every business I've ever built has been predicated on what I found lacking as I went into the space, right? And so when I built coaching, like a coaching business, I called it the connection-based model. And the reason I did that is because as I was growing, I felt like I lacked connection to my coaches, right? Or as I was hiring coaches, I lacked connection to my coaches. And so like I would hire all the gurus, $10,000 a year, $5,000. It didn't matter, right? I wanted to learn. And the one thing I never had was connection to them. And I'm like, that sucks, right? I remember I hired the top guru in the world. He was like Phil Heath's coach. And I remember like my purpose of hiring him is when I was doing fitness modeling is like, I wanted to be on the cover of Muscle and Fitness. And like, I had the connection, like they were like, I was close. And finally they called me and they're like, hey, like we're ready. And I remember like I texted him and I was like, hey, and like, I never heard back. And I was like, are you serious? Like, dude, I give you like $10,000 and like, you can't text me back to like help me with this, like in my most trying. And I was like, that's not cool. Right. And so that was always my thing. I was going to be there for my clients above everything else. And I knew that nobody was buying diets because there's 10 million diets in the world, that like people would ultimately buy people. Well, like my theory was proven right. And like, we did really well. And so when I went into the certification space, I was like, well, like I can't compete on education. Like I cannot bring any new knowledge to the world. I fundamentally, as a human being, not even that smart, but like I definitely don't have anything in my head that like somebody else doesn't have. But what I do have is an ability to take that, simplify it, and create an application to any human being that walks the face of this earth. And that's my superpower. And that's what's lacking in the space. And so like if you go take the other certification, you know, that blue hexagon one, right? If you go take that one, you're going to be really, really smart and you're going to have a lot of knowledge. But the problem is you're going to go out into the space and a golfer is going to come to you and you're going to be like, wait a minute, how do I handle this? What are the demands of golf? Like what are the energy system demands? Like how do I factor in that this person doesn't fit my habit-based approach? How do I factor in that this person wants to golf Friday and Saturday, wants to have a few drinks after the round, and might even want to go out Friday night and get shit-faced? Like, how do I handle that? Mm-hmm. And because that's not in the textbook.
No.
Right? Or how do I handle the fact that, like, this person is not a golfer and that this person was 150 pounds, saw themselves in the mirror as overweight, destroyed themselves at, like, 1,000 calories to get down to, like, $130, and has lived at 1,000 calories out of fear of gaining weight their whole life, but now wants to repair their hormonal profile, wants to repair like all the HPA axis issues that are presenting themselves, but can't stand to look in the mirror and gain body fat. Because let me tell you, those are the situations that are showing up in real life today. 90% of nutrition coaches are not working with textbook examples. Like we would all agree, it would be a dream if like a 200-pound person walked through our door. They're like, yep, all I eat is nothing but McDonald's and Burger King, and I've never exercised in my life. Any idiot could help that person.
Yep. Like
it's not hard, right? Like, hey, stop eating the fast food. Maybe consider going for a walk, right? Let's slowly add in some resistance training. Maybe try drinking some water. Hey, salads are better than Big Macs. You can still eat at McDonald's. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could find ways to be super easy. But like, as soon as somebody that's not a textbook example walks in, what do you do? And I actually talk about it in my webinar. It's kind of like having to take the most important test of your life, but having never been taught the material. That's what nutrition coaching in the real world is. And what I was finding is nobody was equipped. And so my calling card was I was fixing the hardest cases, right? Like my claim to fame in the nutrition coaching world initially was like I was fixing broken CrossFitters. I was the first one that had the balls to go in the CrossFit crowd and say, you guys are a bunch of idiots, get off the paleo diet. And immediately everybody hated me for like the first year. And then everybody's like, like maybe you know a thing or two, right? And I had to stand strong in my belief that like, hey, listen, paleo is not a bad diet for autoimmune, which is what it was built for, but it's a terrible diet for performance. And ask LeBron, ask any of the NFL guys that tried it, like, it doesn't work out so well, right? And, ask any of the CrossFitters that I worked with. I mean, I remember the first year I worked with like Travis Mayer at the CrossFit Games, I was posting pictures of him eating burgers and fries at night. And everyone's like, why would you feed him that? It's the worst performance food in the world. And I'm like, you do realize the guy just worked out like 6 times today, right? And he worked out 6 times, which means he didn't get to eat between meals, like between workouts. Like how else am I supposed to get thousands of calories into him tonight? Like sweet potatoes? Not going to work real well. So it's, and again, it's application. Do I advise in any way that burgers and fries are healthy? Of course not. Right. But do I understand that there's an application for things like that? Of course. And so what I teach is application. And then I realized application had been bastardized across every modality inside of nutrition. And so we've got a level 1, we've got hormone courses, we've got mindset courses, we've got business courses, we've got a level 2. And so every single one of our courses, the foundation is part 1, education, teach you the knowledge, teach you the science, teach you the biology, all the things you need to know. And part 2 is application. This is how you take your expertise, and this is how you go out into the real world, and this is how you actually help people, because people need your help. And that's why our coaches have been so successful.
How do, for the people listening that are looking for a coach like that, where's the best place for them to go and find one of your certified coaches? I assume there's something on your website.
So we're working on that right now. So we're actually having a map built out where, like, by location, you can see if there's somebody in your area. But, obviously after their name, they should be using NCI L1 or L2. So just ask them, have they gone through NCI? Ask them, which cert have you gone through? Again, I won't throw stones at the other people, but if the letters NCI aren't there, they have not learned an application-based model, period. Nobody's done it yet. And I can tell you, people are starting to take notice. The habit-based company, they actually just put out a macro guide this year.
Yep.
And I can tell you, they saw what NCI is doing, and cool. Like, I'm glad, because habits aren't everything, right? The world needs coaching, and like, the world needs real information. The world needs application. And I love that. Like, and it is, I look at it, everybody comes to me, they're like, oh, it's like you versus them. It's not me versus them. It's me and them in the grand scheme to fight obesity. Right. And it's always been our thing. And I actually, like, I have this vision that one day me and JB are going to speak on stage together. Right. Like, we're going to stand there, like, arm in arm, like, yo, like, we're the people that came out and pioneered this fight on obesity. And I have so much respect for that guy. He's so intelligent. He built the foundation for what I get to do right now. And so, like, I can't say enough good things. And I always try to acknowledge that publicly, because I think people have this preconceived notion I have a competing business, so I must think he's a dickhead. And, like, no, like, not in any way. I think he's a fantastic human being.
Well, I mean, I think it just goes to show, like, competition is a good thing. It brings up more awareness for everything. Yeah. You guys are really
look at golf, dude.
Yeah, right? I mean,
like,
if there's no competition,
like, look at how good the players are today relative to, like, where they were when Tiger came on the scene. And, like, Tiger's an anomaly, but, like, Tiger, even at his best, doesn't run the tour like he used to, right? And honestly, it's kind of the problem with golf today from a marketing standpoint, is we don't have a superstar like outside of Tiger, right? So it's very difficult to continue to market the tour when Tiger's hurt, or, like, when Tiger's not playing. But I think that, like, competition's a great thing. It makes everybody better.
Yeah. Yeah, the tour definitely, they see a huge spike when Tiger's playing versus when he's not playing, which is kind of crazy, because he's still not quite where he used to be. Tell me a little bit about the audiobook. I know that was probably a whole process, but give us an idea of what that is. I'm sure it boils down a lot of what you're talking about right now, and then where can people go find that?
Yeah, so we just released Nutrition Coaching Secrets. And so everybody's like, man, how do you build nutrition coaching businesses? And the truth is, until I know you, I don't know. So I went, like, introspective, and I said, like, what are the core foundations upon which we succeed with everybody we work with? And that was what I put in that book. It's like understanding nutrition, understanding our core principles. So as a coach, you need to be running on a triangle of awareness model. You need to be running on a periodized model. And inside of your business needs to run on a triangle of awareness model. And so it's the first public setting I've introduced what I call the business triangle of awareness. It's modeled after Russell Brunson. And, like, what he preaches, which is attractive character, unique opportunity, and future-based cause. I obviously have my own unique twist that I put on it. But obviously, anytime in marketing, I say I'm a Russell Brunson disciple, because I think he's super intelligent. And obviously, this is very specified to the nutrition coaching industry. So, it's a quick listen. I think it's only 90 minutes to 2 hours, and, like, 7 chapters. Breaks everything down very, very clearly. And then also, like, if you go to the site, there's a couple of discounts on some of the other things that we do there as well. Like, I think our ebook and another audiobook that I did, Macros Applied, which is one of our best sellers, like, that's discounted. And really, like, right now, we did revise the funnel to make sure everything is super affordable right now. And, we want to get these materials in people's hands that want them and need them right now in a world that really needs people on the front lines, really needs people that want to go out and help people. And that's the mission, man. It's so simple. It's so true every single day. I don't know how to do anything else, man. Like I was just telling someone, I'm like, thank God that like our industry is somewhat like recession proof, because I can't ever, even at like the risk of being so broke, like I don't think I would ever do anything else. And I think that's how like, man, you got the right passion for your industry.
And where they can go get that is nutritionalcoachingsecrets.com, right?
Nutritioncoachingsecrets.com.
Yep. I've got it on the screen here. If they're watching, they can see the link.
Nutritioncoachingsecrets.com. It's $1.99. Awesome. We didn't price anybody out of that. We made it super cheap, made it very easy to get. And obviously if anybody wants to reach out to me afterwards, at the end of it, I did a webinar recently that a lot of people really liked. I think you and I are going to do a webinar together pretty soon as well. And so, they can pop into that, and obviously if they're interested in doing it, we are discounting things right now, what's called the NCI formula. So go check that out. And there's a lot of amazing resources. I think we did something like 75% off right now.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, like we're really trying to get this in people's hands, man. Like we recognize the power that it has, and it's exciting times for a lot of people. I've had teachers be like, you know what, like I love connecting with people, but I don't love going to school. So this is what I'm going to do. And I love that, because it's still educating on the front lines. It's still helping, and it's helping people find passion, and a life lived inside of passion is a pretty good life.
We'll definitely link up. If anybody's watching this live on Facebook or YouTube and you want to just post in the comments, we'll make sure that you get the info on the webinar.
Yeah.
And when you and I do the webinar, if you're on our email list, you'll definitely be seeing some emails coming out about the webinar. We just got a question pop in off of Facebook. It says, hey, Jason, wondering if you're currently working with a coach for yourself, or if you can point to someone as your mentor or inspiration, from Scott Hacker.
Is that on business or nutrition?
I would say let's go from the nutrition and training standpoint, and Scott may pop in here and let us know if he was thinking differently.
Yeah, so on the training standpoint, Josh Cuthbert writes all of my workouts. He's George Kittle's strength coach, and like him and I, we kind of partner on some things. So a lot of the athletes that I do nutrition for, he does training for, and all the athletes he does training for, I do nutrition for. So the guys like George Kittle, Rob Ponyan, a lot of NFL guys that are in quarantine right now, like we work together on them. And so he's always the person I go to. I do have people that, so like my right-hand man in my company, Michael Clifford, if I need someone to like check me on nutrition, I bring it to him really quickly. But I love self-experimentation. It's also how I learn most of my things. And so I just kind of love to play around with things. So I don't really have anybody I check in with frequently there. On the business side, nobody that's like looking at my books or like my marketing strategy or anything like that currently. That being said, last year alone, I invested $300,000 in those things. So I do have people that I reach out to. Just I'm very clear on what I want to do right now, and I advise all my clients, like if you're crystal clear, like don't let anybody get in the way of that. But I do work with Garrett White on myself, and he runs Wake Up Warrior for men. And so he is my mentor in all facets of life. And so that is, I'm not sure what you would categorize his coaching as. If you know Garrett, or if you've not consumed any of Garrett's stuff, I absolutely suggest that you do. It's extremely powerful. And he's actually, he's the catalyst for a program that I'll be launching very soon. And so yeah, he's pretty much the only mentor I have in my life. And that's a great question. So
that's funny that you mentioned that about Garrett, because Ryan, my business partner, my cousin, and our marketing guy here, we were just talking about him the other day, and we're like, we don't know how to characterize what he does. It's kind of like, just if you just want to live a more empowered life as a man, it's like
ultimately he's a business coach. Like, I mean, I have I've worked with him. I worked with him at the highest level. So I was a member of his syndicate, and that's like the $100,000 program, and dude delivers. I'm still learning things today from our work like a year and a half ago.
Sure.
It's things that you're always growing and learning. And, I recently just hired him and Sam again, And it's there's a level of accountability that I think everybody needs. And I always try to have at least one mentor in my life in some area. I think coaches need coaches. And so, that's what I have going on right now.
I love it, man. So with everything going on, what's been kind of the biggest surprise for you as far as, like change of schedule, or maybe even the biggest disappointment, no sports on TV, or,
That's it, dude.
what?
That's it.
Really?
100%. Yeah. Like, as busy as I am, my guilty pleasure is TV. Like, there's nothing I like more than to end my day, have dinner, like shower, and then get in bed and completely mindlessly decompress for like 30 to 60 minutes. And so, like, there's certain shows I like each night. I won't out myself too bad because they're probably pretty embarrassing. But I love sports. Like, I am a sports enthusiast through and through and through. And so, Thursday to Sunday, golf is on my house 24/7. And the fact that it's Masters week right now and the Masters not happening is like a dagger.
I know.
So, it's just, those are like the feel good things, man. Like, that's where the world is so weird to me right now. I can deal with the social distancing. I'm a bit of an introvert anyway. And so, like, I can deal with all of that. I can deal with really everything else, but that's the part that's hurt worse. That's why I'm like counting down the days to like the UFC fight. I'm like, I can't wait. Like, I work with several WWE stars still to this day. And so, like, I watched WrestleMania this past weekend and it was so weird. Like, to see people like in an empty arena.
That's
and like,
strange.
it was so odd. And like, I was texting with them before. I'm like, so how weird is this going to be to watch? And they're like, it was pretty weird to film.
I
So,
bet.
yeah. They said the weirder part was, I was talking to Bailey, the women's champ, and she was like, the weirdest part was flying on like all the empty flights. She's like, going to and from the performance center, we're on empty flights. She's like, that was weird. And I'm like, yeah, I could see that. Like, that's super weird.
I mean, of all sports or entertainment, like, they play up to the crowd more than most. Like, so to not have a crowd there, it's like, pointing at the screen, looking at the Zoom call or something like that. It's like that.
Yeah.
That had to be really, really strange.
Yeah. I gotta hand it to them. I think they've done a great job, right? They've taken a pretty bad situation and turned it into something reasonable and gotten through it. And Vince McMahon's extremely intelligent either way, but it's certainly changed things. And at the end of the day, it wasn't intentional, and so I think the consumer point of view had to shift too, right? Like, everybody understands the times that we're in, so it's not like they were like, hey guys, like, we're gonna film in an empty arena and watch this. Like, the consumer point of view understands everything. So, but yeah, that's absolutely been the hardest part. Schedule wise, I'm gold. I'm a very meticulous person when it comes to those things anyway. So schedule wise, I'm good. Everything else, I'm good. But that is the dagger in my life right now.
Awesome, brother. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show. This is fun doing a little live podcast, getting to see each other.
Great.
So hopefully,
these are great. This is the first time I've seen you face to face.
I know, cool. Right? Last time we did it,
it's good to put a face to the name. Yeah, last time I was driving, and it's good to put a face to the name, and I love what you guys are doing, man. Like, since we were on like last time, like, several of my friends have been like, oh, I heard that, and like, obviously it's cool to hear that your message is growing, which I love, and yeah, man, I'm super appreciative of you just like having me on and letting me talk, and I always. Anytime somebody has me on their platform, I always want to like express appreciation for like what you guys are doing, right? Because you're number one, you're giving people a message or a platform for people to put their message out. But number two, man, like, in times like these, like, entertainment is everything, and information is everything, and you guys are working your asses off over there to crank it out, man, and that's pretty cool. So well done.
Thanks, brother. Really, really appreciate it. I'm sure we'll be talking very soon about the webinar and everything, and hopefully once all this stuff dies down, I know you come to St. Louis quite a bit, so we're swinging the stick sometime.
Yeah, no, dude, I'd love to. I know I got to get out there with Andy and Sal. Actually, one of the live events that we're looking at doing is going to be at their new HQ. So
I hear that's going to be incredible.
Yeah, it's looking awesome, man. So we'll definitely do that, dude.
Sounds good. All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it, bud.
All right, guys. I want to say thank you for everyone watching the live feed here, and just for tuning into the 18 Strong podcast. Thanks to Jason for coming on live. We will be joined tomorrow with Jason Moore from True Linkswear, and it's a perfect time to mention the shoes from Linksole that we were just talking about at the beginning of the show. Another thanks to them, but this was a collaboration between Linksole and True Linkswear. And so again, we're doing a giveaway with Linksole. Anybody that goes to the 18 Strong podcast page on iTunes, leave your review, and we're going to pick one winner next Monday to get your free pair of slip-ons. One last note is another way to connect with us here at 18 Strong is to go to our 18 Strong Movement Facebook page, where we have a lot of our guests, a lot of other trainers, coaches, people in the fitness world, as well as a ton of golfers just like you in there asking questions, posting videos. So come join us over there. Once again, thanks for showing up. Train hard, practice smart, and play better golf.